Hey friends, Adam here. Can we help our good friend Drew Von Porte out of this situation? For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, check this link above. It is a match that Drew played against his arch nemesis Jack from their league in Arizona. In fact, shout out to Jack, JC, Chris, Ron, Rob, all the guys from Arizona. They were in this match for the playoffs, and this situation came up. Now, the timestamp in the video is 28:35 or so, 20 minutes, 35 seconds, somewhere around there where this situation comes up. Jack fouls, and Drew has ball in hand right here. It's also a very pivotal part in the match where Jack is up 3-2 in a race to 7. And for those of you who don't know APA Masters, they do 8 games of 9-ball first. Jack won the leg, so Jack picked 9-ball, so they do 8 games of 9-ball first, and then they finish it out with 8-ball, but it's a race to 7. Jack is a 9-ball specialist, which is why he chose 9-ball. Drew has a chance to tie this up at 3 and get some momentum going into 8-ball. So this is very, very pivotal. Now, Drew's comment was, oh, look at this, it runs itself. Now, unfortunately, that's not what happened. When Drew looked at this shot, and I have it up on the TV here, I don't know how good you'll be able to see this, he was drawing a position line for the 3, saying he can basically be anywhere on this side of the table, assuming the 2 is going to be gone, to get on the 3. Now, when you look at this, every layout you look at, you should figure out, you should be looking 3 balls ahead, but when you look at a layout, there's always this usually one key shot and key leave that is the key to the rack. Here, it's going to be the 4 to the 6, and it doesn't seem like it, because it seems like if you get a straight in on the 4, you can just play a stop shot, land on the 6, do whatever you want with the 8, get on the 9. However, these angles are a little bit weird, and as we found, so what Drew did, he played the cue ball basically in this area, and he was talking about the position line on the 4 being, he wanted to be kind of straight in that window. Fast forward a little bit more. Now he's talking about that he really needs to be on, and I'm going to put my cue down for a straight line. Here's the line on, you know what, I don't want to put it there, I want to put it for the 6. Here's the straight line on the 6. In fact, we'll move the 6 for a second, just so I can put this down. And Drew is saying that he needs to be on this side of it. Well, the problem is, look what's right in the middle of it. This big giant 9-ball, it's about this big right now, blocking the angle that he really wants to be on for the 6-ball. The problem with where he's saying he wants to be on with the 6-ball happened, and I'll fast forward a little bit more, and you guys can watch this on his channel. He wound up essentially here on the 6-ball. There is no, he tried jumping and I don't think it worked. I think he mishit the jump or whatever. But this is the crucial issue in this rack. So I decided I would go help him and say, hey, I have an idea and I can make a video out of this and I can help you with this rack. Thing is, this is, and I think the words that my good friend Trevor used, shout out to Trevor, were deceptively tricky. And that's exactly what this is, because this looks like everything goes. 2 goes there, 3 goes here, 4 goes there, 6 and 8 go here, and 9-ball is in your standard 9-ball spot. The problem is, as we saw, if you get wrong on this 4-ball, you can screw up the whole rest of it because there's still 3 balls left. And if you miss your leave on the 6, now you're selling out a rack with only 3 balls on it. So what I like to do is I like to work harder on the easier shots to make the harder shots easier. What I mean by that, what leave do I want on the 4? Well, I could go either way. I could be on straight in on it. Now, the problem is a straight in on the 4 is just slightly off of a really good shot on the 6. And I'll get to that in a bit. I don't think I want to try to get on this side. The couple of reasons are because first I have to try to hit the 3-ball in a way to get over there. I either have to go past, and my cue's in the way here, I either have to go past my cue like this through this gap, which is really hard because you can hit the 8 or the 6. You can be behind the 8, you can be behind the 6, you can be behind the 9. Ask me how I know. Or you have to come up this way and go like that. That way is a lot easier to get, but you can also get behind the 8. You can get on top of the 8. You can overrun it. You can be here, which is no good. So what I actually like, and I looked at this a lot when I was messing around with this last night in my failed attempts, I actually like being on this side of the 4 ball. And I'll show you why once we get there. So what I'm gonna aim to do is I'm gonna aim almost to get where the 2 ball is right now, off the 3. So that's my thoughts on this. Let's do this one shot at a time. I'll explain my way of doing this and then we can look at some alternates. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this with top and a little bit of left. I'm gonna shoot for 1 rail down into like this position window. Now you're looking at this like a really tiny position window. This is my ideal window. If I get anywhere, I can still work with it. I can get 2 diamonds out the entire table and I can work with it. And if I can't hit this big of a position window, I have to work on my remedial position play. If I'm here, I'm really good. If I'm here, it's a little straight. Actually, it's really straight, but I can draw it out. I can play it off the rail, kind of stun it off the rail. I can cheat this pocket quite a bit because the 3 is almost in the pocket. It is a little bit off. It's maybe the edge of the ball is right about the point or right after the point there, but I have a little bit of room to work with. So let's stop talking and start shooting one shot at a time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the 2. I'm aiming a little bit this way. I'm gonna play the cue ball into the rail with some left spin. I wanna get on this Brunswick logo. I wanna really get in that position. Let's give this a try. And I may need to shoot this a couple times to get used to it. Now it bounced out a little bit too much, which is what I ran into with this shot specifically. I am pretty much straight on to this part of the pocket. So try one more time. Now I don't have to really force it as much as I did. I could leave it more over there. I could play a little bit more angle. Just try to smooth this in there into position. Ideally, if I could land on the end rail, that would be nice and not bounce out. This looks much better. All right, so we're gonna go with this. I'm gonna just use my chalk to mark this ball. So we can shoot this a couple different times. And this is what I'm talking about when I say, like if I wanted to play, let's say the 2 balls off the table, I have ball in hand on the 3, where would I wanna leave the 3? Now, ideally for me, I'd wanna put it about here because then I can play just like straight top, a little bit of left, and come off into the line to the 4. Getting that is really difficult. Getting here only took me 2 times at that point. Now, there are a number of places I can be. As I said, I can be anywhere in this area and make it work. This is kind of ideal. So, on the 4 ball, now Drew is correct in saying the 4 to the 6 is really the key. Drew was really correct in saying that he wanted to be, if we'll just leave my cue here, if it'll stay. Come on. There you go. He was correct that you want to be on this side of the 9. The problem is the 9, or this side of the 6 ball pocket line, there's 2 sides you want to be on, this one or this one. You really want to be on this one. The problem is you can't get there unless you kind of draw into the 9, which isn't, I wouldn't recommend it on an open table like this. What you really want to do is you want to be over here. And you can't get there if you're on this side of the pocket line for the 4 ball. Sorry, if I draw a pocket line for the 4, if you're on this side of the pocket line for the 4, you can't get over here because you have to go 1 rail and then you have to traverse the 9 and it's going into the 9. And I'll get into that from this angle. So if we know where we want to be on the 6, here's the line for the 4. If we're over here, we have a much easier way to get from the 4 to the 6. Because let's say the cue ball, and I have it marked so I can move it, let's say the cue ball was here. I can just kind of stun this off the rail, maybe a little bit of left spin, and I'm right in line on the 6. The problem is now I'm going away from the 8. I can still make it work, but it's really not the ideal position. So what I would like to have is I would like to have this on this side of the pocket line. Actually, if I was right on the dot where the 2 is, or was, this would be a great spot, because then what I can do is I can shoot this kind of 2 rails with outside spin, which is a pretty standard 9-ball shot. And I get really good on the 6. Now, I'm on the opposite side right now, so I have to work on my speed a little bit, but that's really kind of the angle I'd want, because I want to be more away from this 9-ball and more on the lines for the 6. So that said, if my aiming point is kind of in this line, I can get there much more naturally from where I landed for the 3-ball. There's a couple different ways I can do it. I can draw it straight out and straight back. I'm so perfect on this line right now. I'm just gonna play top and a little bit of left, send it 1 rail down here, and I'm kind of crossing the line, if you wanna say so, but I'm crossing the straight in line of the 4. I don't wanna be on this line of the 4. I wanna come into this line of the position. Let's give this shot a couple tries. This is pretty good. I like a little bit more angle, but I can definitely work with this. Take another stab at it, maybe take 2 more, just kind of show a different variety of shots, and then I'll show some alternatives without using this the straight top. Now when I cross right over my 2-ball dot, and I got, like, this is really good. This is what I call this a straight on line. It's basically straight on to the ball, to the rail, not straight in the pocket. This one's really good. I'm gonna mark this one. Put chalk marks on my table. But they're easy to get out, whereas the stickers are easy to get out too, but then I have to keep moving them around. They lose their stickiness after a couple times. So let's go with that as our optimal line. Now, how else can I get there? If I really don't like the conditions of the table, I really don't want to bounce off the rail, I can try to draw this, kind of a stun draw, so a tip and a half below center, and I'm aiming kind of for the right side of the pocket, maybe a touch of left. Problem with that is that's really hard to control, and you see I'm going right towards the side pocket. Try that shot one more time. I definitely like to follow better, even though my preference as a shooter is to draw more. Just see if I can get past the side pocket. So there I did more stun than draw, and I'm a little bit off the angle. But that gives you some ideas. This is more of the angle that Drew had. And so let's actually stick with this shot right here. I'll go back to my chalk mark in a minute. The problem with this angle, so it's I can't reach it. It's going kind of right into the point there. A lot of people would say, well, just play it with some inside, which you can do. The problem is if you ease up at all, if you're nervous and your arm's shaking or you're in pressure situations and you mishit it, you're sitting behind that 9 a lot. I got out, and I got lucky I got out. And this is actually a pretty good result, but it's really easy to really mishit that. Now let's say I'm kind of out here. You know what, let's say I didn't get great on the 3, and I'm out here, and now I'm trying to hit it with spin. If I decelerate on the stroke, which I'm gonna try to do on purpose, which I don't recommend trying to do. Now I made it, and now I'm behind the 9. Not by much, probably still a makeable jump shot, but if you have ball in hand with 6 balls left, you don't want to be relying on jump shots to get out. All right, so let's look at my chalk mark for the 4. Now I really like this angle because I can come on natural 2 rails out and back kind of in like this area for the 6. The idea is to play the 6 down here and just kind of float up for the 8 in the side. That's kind of my ideal spot. Now this is a really, really touch sensitive shot here on the 4, but the angles are natural. So I'm gonna play this with a middle ball, just a touch of right spin, and I'm kind of coming out 2 rails. I don't wanna overhit the angle, but I don't wanna really underhit it either. It's one of those kind of touchy shots you gotta work on. Now I got a little bit off. I'm a little bit off angle on the 6, which isn't terrible, but I'm really close to it. I can definitely make it. I can just come out 1 rail with follow and come out. Let's try it again though. I think I can get a little bit better on it. So I played that with just middle ball, a little bit of right spin. I'm gonna try a little bit below middle, more like a stun, kind of stun it out of there. Now, if you're playing on a diamond table or you're playing in humid conditions, your rails are gonna be bouncy and you gotta really watch the speed on this. Because, I mean, I'm doing this on purpose. Let's just say I come in here and I have no regards to speed and I just crush it. And now I'm in no man's land and that's no good. This is a touchy shot, but you can still put a stroke on it. That's kind of what this drag shot or stun shot is. A little bit below center, a little bit of right spin. Trying to basically kill it right off the cue ball, right off the 4 ball. Now I underhit that kind of halfway on purpose. I also kind of decelerated, which I don't recommend. But that's kind of in between those 2 is where I want to be. Where's my line here? So kind of just adjust a little bit less draw, a little bit more stun, a little bit more follow through. That's going to be perfect. Now I am on, just barely, I'm on this side of the 6-ball pocket line. I'm not enough where I can come out for the 8 in the side, but I can basically play a stop shot, drop back maybe an inch or 2, and I'm in a good spot on the 8 where I can make the 9. Let's try the 4 ball one more time, because that is, like, as I said, that's the key shot, is the 4 to the 6. And then we can look at some alternative options for this rack. Like not here on the 4, completely different spot on the 4. Because in a game, you're not gonna have 5 or 6 chances to get your line on here. This is gonna be really ideal. Now it seems like this is a much harder shot, but I have many options here what to do to get on the 8. Now, I happen to have a dot here. This is my head spot, and I use this for teaching and practicing and things. It's lined up to the spot and to the middle rail, at least it should be. If I could get on that spot, that would be my ideal spot for the 8 ball. I can do this a couple different ways. I can just try to float it. And you know what, let me mark this 6 ball quick, or this cue ball quick. Okay, that's good. I can float it forward. This is gonna be touchy. And I pretty much got right on that. You can see a little bit of the dot underneath it, but this is really good. Or I can go, but the problem with floating it is really touchy. You can overhit it really easily. And actually, let me show what happens if you overhit it. Now I'm all the way down on the rail. I still have a shot. I can still get out from here, but that really isn't an ideal spot to be in. A lot of times, especially if you're nervy, you don't want to be slow rolling things because you can overhit them very easily. So what can we do instead? Let's go all the way to the rail and come back. Now this is going to be just straight top. It's going to lengthen the angle out a little bit. In fact, I actually overhit that. But I'm in a good spot here on the 8 where I can still play it one rail and back over for the 9. Let's try one more time of that shot with a little bit of left spin to hopefully cut the angle off and send it more towards the middle once it hits the top rail there. Now this is going to be more touchy, and it's going to be it makes the 6 a little bit missable, but you can put a bigger stroke on it. And I'm avoiding getting on this rail too. And then from here, there's a number of things I can do. If my ideal shot was on the spot like I got in the first time, I just float this forward. And I'm on the 9. I should have marked this and I didn't. If I'm like here, I'm a little off angle. That was sloppy, but at least I can see where it is. You guys probably can't. I'm a little bit off, so it's actually pointing kind of to this point. So I can do two things. I can float it up to the rail and accept a harder shot on the 9. But it's not really straight, but this is a doable shot. Or I can plan to come out one rail and over. And if I put a little bit of left spin on it, I can actually come over on this side of the pocket and get more straight in on that 9 ball. Like this. And I land on the rail a lot with these shots because it just kind of opens it up. But this is a very straightforward 9 ball. And we're out. All right, let's take a different look at this rack. I won't go into as much depth, but I'm gonna show some other options for playing some of these shots. All right, let's say we don't have the luxury of playing each shot 10 times to get the perfect position, which we never do. I'm gonna shoot this a couple different ways. I'm gonna see if I can get out from any position that I get on. I'm not gonna try to get down here for the first shot. I'm gonna take something like Drew did and kind of stun this over and then just go from there and see what happens. And I'll talk them through, but I will not replay shots. So this, I'm kind of just coming down so I can play the 3 straight back. And that's kind of the same angle that Drew had, but he went a little bit further up table. This one now I have to play a little bit of outside spin, which is right spin, to come into this line. And if the goal is to let's try to get straight in on the 4. Maybe I can play just straight top. I don't think so. I think I have to play it actually a little bit low, a little bit of stun. And I crushed it. And this is not gonna be a run. This happens, so let's just take it and see. In worst case, I can just cut it out of the video. You guys will never see it. I'm cutting it over here, but I got to worry about scratching in the upper corner. But I also need to come around 3 rails to get a position on the 6. So I'm just going to go for this and hope I don't scratch. And I'm off on the 6 already. I can tell it. So now I'm going to play the 6 on a back cut to the upper left. This is what happens in amateur pool. The good thing is I'm going to get a natural angle on the 8 ball because I'm going to come off the right rail, but this is a very missable shot. And I think I missed it. Yep, I did miss it. So get off on the 3-ball shot, and that's what can happen. Set these up again, and we'll go again. Let's try to get a little closer to what Drew had. A little bit better angle on that 3. I think he was still a little bit further over. The problem that I have, he was playing on a 7-foot table, this is an 8. Reaching this now becomes kind of a chore. It isn't too bad. Okay, so now I'm closer to the angle that he was actually looking for on the 4-ball. And I got that weird angle. I'm a little bit off. If I were to stop shot this, I don't know if I can hold it. You know what? I said I wasn't gonna do this in this run, but this is actually pretty interesting. I think it's really possible to get behind the 9-ball with just like a stop shot. I'm gonna try to hold it. I need to cheat the pocket a little bit. And there we go. I might have it, I probably don't. So in the spot that, pretty close to what Drew got himself in, let's see how we can get out of this. Now there are 2 ways that I see to get out of this shot. One is draw and one is follow. We'll do the follow first because I think most people would be hesitant to try to draw this. So I'm following this not with inside, anything with maybe a little bit of outside. So this spot I got in a lot when I was doing testing. I'm on the wrong side of the 6-ball. Cue ball is naturally going this way. So I have to do something to hold the 6 so I can get the 8. I'm never gonna get from here over to here. You can try to put a lot of right spin on it, but when the cue, in fact, I said I wasn't gonna mark these, let's mark this one. These, like I said, like 4 days in with the Federgore spray on them, watch what the cue ball does when I try to put max right spin and top on this. That's all I can get. And I still have a shot, but now the cue ball is flying around the table. So what I would rather do in this situation on the 6 is just play off the rail and plan on playing the 8 up in the corner. And this is just with straight top. Now the side pocket is in the way. I have to kind of kill this off the point. But this is possible. It's also possible to overhit this and scratch. Kind of had to cheat the pocket a little bit, and now I got okay shape on the 8 or on the 9. Wouldn't be my first choice. So let's try, where were we on the 4? It's the second shot on the 4. The option I kind of like better than following it is drawing it, because I can get closer to that 9-ball line. If I was on the spot, it would be great. I just don't want to be behind the 9-ball. So I'm going to try to draw this one. Now this is going to be harder the dirtier the pool balls are. And now I just got in major trouble. That is one problem with that shot. And as I was saying, the 9-ball is like a big giant beach ball out there the whole time. So try that one again. I need to hit it a little bit more towards the right side of the pocket instead of the left. I still went right towards the 9-ball. All right, let's do one more run and then we'll call it a video here. All right, this will be the last time I try this. This is actually what my buddy Trevor recommended, just a stop shot on the 2. Now, kind of the whole point of this video is to work harder on the harder shots to make the easier shots easier. I feel like this is giving away an advantage that you have to try to get better on that 4-ball, but we'll do it. And I basically have the same shot I had last time, only I can reach just a little bit more. I'm gonna try to get in that line that I like better, because I don't think the straight onto the 4-ball is the best line here. And I actually didn't do it. I more drag shot than anything, and now I'm in the same exact position I was last track. So let's try it one more time. Say stop shot on the 2 leaves it, what about there? We'll just say that. I wonder if I can force draw this back to the right rail by me, or if I have too much angle. We'll find out in a second. Yeah, that's risky. Now I happen to line up in a pretty decent spot here, but that side pocket was huge, and I could have overrun, on a bouncier table, I overrun this a lot. But what I can do now is I can actually play underneath the 9, top and just a touch of right spin here, which is inside, and then come on this side of the ball. And this isn't bad. I mean, I'm pretty straight on the 6, but almost a stop shot here just leaves me an 8-ball where I can get to the 9. Now that is a touchy shot, and I'm a little awkward on the line on the 8. Natural draw is gonna bring this cue ball to the middle of the table. So I think I'm just gonna take the stop shot here. I don't think I wanna draw this back any. And then, as I've said in every single one of my videos, if you wanna get better at these shots, put the 9-ball where it's racked, especially if you're using a template, which they were in this match, and hit these shots over and over and over and over and over again. I'm playing this with low right just to get it out of the corner. Like that. All right, so there are a number of different ways to play this rack. I think the term deceptively tricky, deceptively easy was really the way to go for this rack. It was, as you could tell, it seemed like everything was just gonna be a stop, 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 like Drew said in his video, and as you found, it's not. It's more like stop, stop, I'm hooked, what do I do now? Grab the jump cue or just hand the game over. So Drew, I hope this helps. Anybody else, I hope this helps. Leave me a comment if you think this could have been done differently. In fact, if you have a different shot, I may set it up to show you how it would work or not work. If you can, take a screenshot and draw me it, send me a picture, or just describe it in chat. If you have any questions on specific things I've done in this video, leave a timestamp. Like if you do like 28.35 like on Drew's video, in the comment, it'll put a timestamp there for me. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one.